Here we go. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Pop 5 podcast. I am Groovy Dude.
I am Fear the Gaming Dad.
We are here again this week to discuss our top 5 worst movie remakes / reboots, fresh off of our conversation of best movie remakes / reboots. We decided to flip the coin this week.
Much harder list.
Yeah. Be sure to let us know what you think, as well as your lists, and also go ahead and give us a like and a follow wherever it is that you are hearing or watching us. And let's go ahead and jump right into our sports talk of the week. We'll find a nice little sting to put in there.
See, I gotta start looking up more on sports. I know mostly about Madden, and
that's fine. Hey, Madden Sports, tell us about Madden. What's going on there?
mostly fantasy drafts and online franchise modes with friends, and dominating. Pure
Well, what's
domination.
your record?
3-0 to start.
Who's your quarterback? What's your team like? Tell us about your team.
Our quarterback is Deshaun Watson, DK Metcalf, Justin Jeffries, Damian Waller, Kareem Hunt, Tarek Cohen. I mean, this
It's pretty stacked.
Yeah, it's the defense that's more. I got some veterans in there, but I got to find replacements quick, and then I got other.
That's all right. All right.
Defense probably won't survive a year or two. I got to make some draft moves.
All right. Well, over to the real world, we've got the Red Sox leading the MLB. Actually, they were the first team to 20 wins this last weekend. They have a 22-13 record. They have a 3.5 game lead over the Yankees and Tampa Bay. They did lose tonight, so they had won 4 in a row, but they did lose to Baltimore. They had to give them one. It was a 4-game series. It was a gentleman's sweep. They gave them one.
It's hard to take 4 games in a row.
Exactly.
It's
Even
nice
Baltimore.
when it happens, though.
Even Baltimore. The Bruins, they did win tonight in overtime. Taylor Hall with a nice, what a nice goal that was to win the game.
Clinching the 3rd seed.
Clinched the 3rd seed. They have the playoffs all locked up, and they will be facing the Washington Capitals in the first round of the playoffs, and that is a big deal because Zdeno Chara, former captain of the Bruins for how many years? 13 years? 14 years?
See, this is one of those things that I'm not a big believer in the divine, but it always seems to be fate, because this happens a lot in sports.
It just had to happen. And the Bruins have had trouble with Washington in the playoffs before. It seems that Ovechkin always goes off on them.
But Ovechkin goes off on everybody.
I know. He's my favorite non-Bruins player of this, like, pretty much of all time almost. He's incredible. He's one of probably the top goal scorer of our generation.
I was like Jonathan Quick.
Well, that's a goalie.
Kind of a goalie as a favorite player?
Well, I was just talking about goal scorers, and you mentioned Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick would shut anybody down. No matter Ovechkin, he'd shut down.
Actually, speaking of Jonathan Quick, I got to see him when he was playing for the Monarchs. It was a playoff game. It was Quick versus Tuca in the playoffs. It was amazing because it was Providence versus Manchester. And Manchester had been the AHL affiliate of the LA Kings. And it was a playoff matchup. Of course, that night I had been rooting for Manchester, so I was upset when Providence eventually won. But being a Bruins fan, I am happier that Tuca did get that win. It was incredible. It was overtime in the playoffs and just indescribable.
Being from southern New England, I must say, like that Providence one.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. but I was there with someone who was dating somebody on the team, so I like couldn't really go against them at that time either. So the Celtics, bad news on their part. They they're 35 and 33. They're the 7 seed, so they're likely going to be playing in the play-in tournament to get in the playoffs. But they did just lose Jaylen Brown for the season. He tore a ligament in his wrist this weekend, and he had surgery today, out for the rest of the season. So really tough blow.
That tends to happen, man.
Yeah.
See if the team can pull together, maybe win it. Better story that way.
All right. Well, that's all I've got for sports for this week. Let's say we move on to the next portion of this show. In other news, what do you got? What do you got? Give me something, I'll give you something.
I once again will speak of AEW, the greatest wrestling program there is right now on television.
You can bring this up in sports, you know.
I mean, I can, but I mean, it's more entertaining.
Bring it up in
honestly.
sports. Bring it up in sports next time.
In sports. Well, let's just say the WWE, who is very much gone with the PG. For you older fans there, on a regular night on cable, they had a blood and guts match. 2 rings side by side covered by a Hell in the Cell cage. It became a bloodbath very quick, which ended in Chris Jericho being thrown off the top of the cage and through the entrance ramp. It becomes a beatdown after a while, but it was a hell of a match. And then they're also setting up Orange Cassidy versus Kenny Omega. Orange Cassidy, known for wrestling with his hands in his pockets and often kicking the crap out of people while doing so. Definitely somebody to watch. What you got?
Yeah, I just saw a video of him for the first time, and it was crazy to see him go. The crowd loves him.
Oh, yeah, dude. The fact that he can do the friggin', he flips the guy over without even taking his hands out of his pockets. Oh, I love him.
So no, this week we had a very controversial the host of SNL, Elon Musk, of course, Tesla CEO and founder, SpaceX, all that jazz. Who for a while there
Batman
I thought
or
was,
Lex Luthor.
Yeah, for a while there I thought was our Tony Stark, but yeah, I'm not so sure about that. The episode though really was not great. Really mediocre. He was very awkward, not very funny, moved around a lot in front of the camera. I mean, he does have Asperger's. He did say that in the opening monologue, but I don't know. So does Dan Aykroyd, and he's funny. So I don't know.
Yeah, it was his first appearance. I mean,
yeah,
might have been his first time on stage outside of
Miley Cyrus. Though she was the musical guest, and she is incredible. Oh, I love the way her voice has matured, and it's really. I love the raspiness of it, the old style, old soul in her voice.
Sure, she was on this last season of Masked Singer. I haven't finished it yet, but I am almost 100% certain.
I don't know.
So sure. So, sir, should we talk about Invincible?
Yes.
We didn't do this last week because
we did not. I've got Invincible above me right there.
Yeah, it's been a week. If you haven't watched it, spoilers coming up. Just skip ahead. We'll give you some sort of sign.
Right. We'll give you 10 seconds to get away now. Ready? 10. Just go.
Yeah. Get out.
Come
it's
back
happening now. Let's go.
90 seconds.
Bing. What a finale!
Right? That subway scene. That subway scene will go down in history as one of the greatest animation scenes of all time.
And also one of the most fucked up moments, I think, in television. I mean, whoever thought that,
Right.
brilliant thought.
Because that is not
Very
in the
dark.
comics.
No, that wasn't.
No. There
It's
are a
been a
lot
while
of
since
things
I
in the
read them.
comics, but that
I
was
mean,
not.
that would be hard to put into the comics, but my God, did they who they did not hold back in that fight. They showed you what would happen if two superheroes fought in a major city
Yeah.
out on a mountain.
And the heart that they showed of Mark just trying to save the mother and daughter that were in that apartment building. Because how many times in movies do you see the buildings just topple over and it's like, oh, how many people were killed in that? And you don't really see them, so you don't have that connection, but they actually brought you inside and had that connection, and he wasn't able to save them.
Well, this thing is like that's most superhero movies skip over that because they don't show you anybody in the building unless those people are going to be rescued. And well, I mean, outside of maybe the occasional one or two that might fall while they attempt to rescue them. But yeah, they very much skip over that if you really want to dive into the realism. And Kirkman has never been afraid to
No.
make something real.
And the voice acting in it is just perfect. Everybody is perfect.
And we're gonna get
Okay.
a lot more of Seth Rogen next season, and I cannot wait
Wait
to
for
see
seasons
what is
2
going
and
to
3.
happen. Yep.
Yeah. All
Will
right.
Omni-Man return, and when will he kill him this time?
Now, for those who have read the comics, I just can't wait for the Viltrumite War. That is going to be something to see.
All right. Well,
Let's
I
go ahead
have.
and move on. So we were a lot of people were kind of living in fear for the last couple of weeks with the Chinese rocket that was falling to Earth, and nobody really knew where it was going to land. I mean, 70% of the Earth is water, and another, like, I don't know, 20% of the land or something is, or 60% of the land is unoccupied. So chances are it wasn't going to hurt or land on anybody, but you didn't know. You didn't know. It could
Well,
have fallen anywhere.
the scary part, man, is I mean, with how that was coming down until they knew where it was, you can't exactly tell a place to evacuate. And by the time they know it's coming down,
Right.
it might be a little late.
Exactly. They wound up crashing in the Indian Ocean. Nobody was hurt. So
I gotta say though, if you're
that's
gonna land in
fortunate.
any ocean that's got a lot of stuff around it, there's either that or the Mediterranean. That's
Mm-hmm. Well, the Mediterranean is not an ocean.
true. Sea, but any big body of water. I mean, Indian Ocean's kind of relatively small. Would have been a
Yes,
little
it
more
is.
worried.
Yeah.
They've seen enough devastation recently.
Speaking of rockets, though, there is another rocket that's been scheduled to launch since Saturday. Just keeps getting delayed. There's high winds in the upper atmosphere. Supposed to go off at 8 again today and didn't. It's being launched out of Virginia. Supposed to be visible all along the eastern seaboard. They're releasing vapors. So
Now people thought this rocket was meant to intercept the falling Chinese
well, no,
rocket,
I brought that up.
preventing it from hitting something.
I mentioned that. Nobody else brought that up.
I've seen that theory everywhere, man.
What?
Come on, dude. Americans are friggin'
Eh,
what's the term? Paranoid.
I don't know. You have anything
Maybe
else before we
hopeful.
get into our topic of the week?
Oh, hell yes. I have two more things.
All
The
right.
battle between Trevor Noah and Ted Cruz continues on. Ted Cruz, the beloved Texan from Canada, took aim at Noah this week, claiming the Canadian is beginning to look like Glenn Close from Fatal Attraction. Seeking to end the feud, Noah responded by asking Cruz what was the best way to end the feud, by insulting his wife or his father. I would suggest doing both. As we all know, former President Trump found insulting both Cruz's wife and father to be a great way to rein in the wily Texas senator. I don't know about you, but if I was Mr. Cruz, my wife would have had me sleeping on the couch till I grew a backbone.
I do love Trevor
Plus,
Noah.
he's brilliant, man. I love The Daily Show. And my last bit here, the D&D tip of the week. DMs, are you tired of dealing with murder hobos? I know I am. Which is why I decided to include a monster from one of my favorite TV shows in my last session. A weeping angel. Those of you who are familiar with Doctor Who should know this creature well, and those of you who haven't heard should look him up. Fan or not, it'll put the fear of God into those murder hobos before you TPK their asses. My D&D tip of the week.
Well, I appreciate that tip. I'll keep that in mind. As you can see,
quite
I've got
useful.
my DM guide back there, so I'll take that note.
Oh, D&D tomorrow, D&D tomorrow. Need to play. Been too long. Spent like 4 days. Need to play.
Yeah.
Need to fly
All
up
right.
and punch something in the face again.
No, we did not kill. Anyway,
Hey, I am a peaceful flying monk that
On
punches shit in the
to-
face.
our topic of the week, our top 5 worst movie reboot/remakes of all time. Now, this was actually a bit tougher for me.
Who claims he
because
doesn't see bad movies?
I do not seek out bad movies. So,
But how do you not just come across them accidentally? Happens to me all
well,
the
some
time.
of them,
Resident
yes,
Evils.
that's what these are. Some of them were bad. I expected more out of them. And that's just generally what happens. If I know something is going to be bad, yeah, I'm probably not going to see it. So a lot of the things that are on your list, I don't have on mine.
And 2.
yeah.
Those were good.
Why don't you lead it off this week? We'll go ahead and get your number 5.
My number 5 is the 2019 live action Lion King. This movie may have had an all-star cast, which I mean it truly did. But the problem is it just doesn't capture the magic of the original film. The 1994 version, I mean, honestly, the 1994 version is just better in a lot of ways. And to bring it back to the idea that they call this movie live action is just ridiculous.
Okay. Yeah.
Ridiculous. It's just better CGI. It's better animation.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was pitched as live action, and I had so many parents at the theater going, "There isn't a single real person in that movie."
Well, obviously, they aren't gonna have live line any.
But my
Anyway.
biggest complaint about this movie, and the biggest difference between it and the original, which makes all the difference, is the original, you can see emotion in the animals' faces. The animation, they put that in there. All the ones in the new one, they maintain the animal face while speaking. There's none of that real shock emotion. Like, animation should overdo it a little bit. It should be like stage acting sometimes.
Yeah.
You
That's
can't
true.
always be too serious about it unless you're doing something like, Jungle Book, But if you're aiming for a kid's movie, you didn't do it right.
Yeah.
You're 5.
That's a good point. All right. Well, my number 5 is pretty much universally hailed as just being awful. This is the 2005 film with Will Ferrell, Nicole Kidman. This, of course, is Bewitched.
Wife wanted this one on my list.
Yeah, this is directed by Nora Ephron, a rare swing and a miss. This also has Steve Carell in it, Stephen Colbert, Michael Caine.
Sad part.
It's got a great cast. Yeah, Jason Schwartzman is in it. And but no, it just does not capture anything from the original Bewitched. It
The TV show, you can develop so much more over the span of seasons than you can try to capture in a movie.
Well, definitely. That's completely understandable, but there's no chemistry between Ferrell and Kidman, and I'm a big Will Ferrell fan. Like you'll be hard pressed to find a bigger Will Ferrell fan than me, but the two of them just did not work together. I did not believe them as a couple, which is too bad, and it has nothing to do with looks or anything like that. But
as Joey from Friends would say, if there's no chemistry, it must means they slept together.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that.
That's according to him. That's what breaks the chemistry.
Well, we know
how
he's never intelligent he is.
Well, he said that's why he's never had chemistry with anyone on stage.
Again, we know how intelligent he is, so anything. Anyway, this had an estimated budget of 85 million. It made back 20 million its first weekend in June of 2005. That is like smack in the middle of blockbuster season. Like you should be. That's when all the big things are coming out. Middle of June, middle of summer. That is.
It's also when you can get hammered down if you're not marketed enough. I have seen that a lot.
Oh yeah. Well, it wound up grossing 63 million in the US, but worldwide 131 million. It people around the world seem to like it. I guess they're Bewitched fans. So I mean it made its money back and then some, which is a bit surprising to me.
Dude, China has become a huge market. They're probably loving seeing kind of this older stuff that
Yeah, that they didn't
they
get
probably don't
before.
come, yeah, that they also probably don't come across too often.
Right. All right. So I'll
But
go
I
ahead
mean,
and bring up my number 4.
but believe
My
me, I
number
thank that market one of the biggest rooms for Pacific Rim 2. Sorry.
right. Oh yeah, no, that's understandable. But no, my number 4 is mine is a 2019 Disney live action remake, but I went with Aladdin. Now, this one, Aladdin was my favorite Disney movie growing up. Uh, the 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 genie, Robin Williams, is perfection.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When they announced that they were doing a live
I
action
mean,
this movie, Robin Williams wasn't
don't
around.
get me wrong. I
No.
love Will Smith. I love Will Smith. He's a great actor. He's a great singer. He's a great guy. I wanted him to be great in this. He
Thing is
just
though,
didn't hit the mark.
but at least tried to change up the genie's role enough to be more fitting towards him. They didn't try to make him be
No,
Robin Williams.
no, they
It
didn't.
just it just adds to another change though from the film's dynamic.
Right. They did change it a bit. They tried to make it more for him, but it was a swing and a miss for me. I know a lot of people liked it,
Well,
but
they definitely added in some stuff that obviously was missing from the last one. A bit of women empowerment, less
oh
less
yeah,
of
and
the
actually,
damsel in distress. But there were definitely parts where they could have gone about it better. And obviously there were it didn't go to as dark of a place, but I'll get into later the difference between like ratings today and ratings years ago.
yeah, and I mean it had nothing to do with those kinds of changes or anything like that, but
No, I like those.
right is and this was directed by Guy Ritchie. It had a budget of 183 million. Its opening weekend, it made 91 million, so it made about half of it back its first weekend.
It
But
it was
total
good. I mean,
gross,
people liked it.
oh yeah, total gross USA made 355 million. That's about double its budget, and worldwide, it made over a billion.
Yeah,
Middle East market.
I'm gonna tell you right now, Disney's gonna keep doing this.
Oh yeah,
It's
because they
gonna
keep
keep
making
getting
money.
bigger. And
Mhm.
eventually we are going to be the United States of Disney.
Hey, they keep making money. They're going to keep doing it.
I think bigger than Amazon, or is that gonna happen soon? I don't we'll move on.
I don't know. What's your number 4?
And number 4 is the 2005 House of Wax. Dun dun dun. Starring Elijah Cuthbert, Paris Hilton, Jared Padalecki, Chad Michael Murray, Brian Van Holten. I will tell you right now, I understand Paris Hilton does not act a lot, but this was certainly not one of her best performances. Yeah, I
She's
mean
great in Repo. And by
yeah, she
great in it, I mean I love watching her die.
honestly that was the part back then that I thought was one of the funniest things is that they killed her off by putting a pole through her head.
Mm-hmm.
Little, yeah, I mean, I don't know, a little shot at her, but I mean, like she's definitely done better, and I'm happy to see her acting career has gone on from there. But yeah, it's definitely some people you didn't see too much after this one. But very creepy concept. Not the best version of it though. Acting is not great. The effects are okay, but
It's hard to duplicate Vincent Price's magic.
yeah, and it also falls into the same issue that most horror movies have for a while now, where it doesn't really develop the characters enough for you to really give a damn, and really
Right.
just becomes more of the idea of the entertainment of watching how they're slaughtered.
Mhm.
But I could have this whole list filled with horror movies, but I chose not to.
Right. Yeah, definitely. That's I just realized that my top two are horror movies. So
Yeah, I mean the 1953 version of House of Wax is much better rated. I haven't seen it, but I've been adding some of the films, some of the reboots that we did that were good. I've been adding to my watch list, as well as I'll be adding some of these here. My number three or your number three now?
you're three.
My three. Around the World in 80 Days, the 2004 action adventure comedy.
Another one I didn't see.
Um, I mostly saw it because I'm
Jackie
a
Chan.
huge fan, yes, of Jackie Chan. If
Mhm.
I ever met the man, I would go full Wayne's World, drop to my knees, and be like, I'm not worthy. Because I
Mhm.
love the man. Not his best film, though. Overall, though, the whole film is just it's not well put together. The CGI today just does not hold up. And I mean, even though it has a good cast, I mean, it's got Jackie Chan, Steve Coogan, Cecil D. France.
I love
I
Steve
mean,
Coogan.
it has a half decent cast. It's just something that did not come together well, especially compared to the older version. The 1956 at least was all right. Definitely did better than this one. But I mean, if you're gonna see a Jackie Chan movie and you really want to enjoy it, especially some of the old ones, I mean, Rush Hour is great. He's had some better ones too recently. This is just a miss.
Yeah.
But I mean, oh, I love him. But I mean, I saw it. I haven't seen it again, and that's a rarity for me in his movies. I mean,
Yeah.
Drunken Master, Rebel in the Bronx, I have probably seen 50 times.
Oh, no doubt. And I mean, Rush Hour for me, I've probably seen that 200 times.
Oh, I got to be up there too. I mean, my favorite line to always quote is, "Damn, he ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3."
Yep. Same here.
Oh, love how they put the outtakes in there. I love Jackie doing his own stunts.
Yep. Right. Now my number three is the uh just the just the terrible 1998 Godzilla. It's Matthew Broderick, Jean Reno. Uh, I mean, it does have Hank Azaria and Harry Shearer in it, but it's just too bad that those Simpsons guys were in a movie like this.
Now, that was
Because
my first forte into Godzilla, and
yeah,
I'm
same here.
sentimental to it.
Same here. Like I was 10 when it came out, so it was like it should have been amazing to me, but it was so boring. So for a movie like Godzilla to be that dull and put a 10-year-old to sleep, it, come on.
Revenge of the Sith. This is not a way to measure it.
Hey, keep your mouth shut about that. This is different.
Oh, that will forever be never
Yeah.
forgotten.
So this was directed by Roland Emmerich, which I mean, he's got some great films under his belt, but I mean, this had a budget of 130 million, made back 44 its opening weekend. Uh, and its USA gross was 136. So I mean, it made its money back in US, and I mean, obviously worldwide it's going to do well because you may put Godzilla in a movie, and the Asian market will certainly love it because it made 379 million. So it just shows how bad it was that it did not get a sequel because of how much money it made. Like it almost tripled the amount of money that it made from its budget, and they didn't make a sequel of it
Why they didn't, though? There might be a reason.
because it's awful.
But if you make money, you're going to make a sequel. Hotel Transylvania, awful. It's got 4 sequels to it.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, Adam Sandler movies don't count. He's in a special category on his own.
I mean, I can go further into this.
No, we're not going further into this now.
That's a deep hole we could dive to.
Yeah, we'll do that another time. We don't have enough time tonight for that.
I don't know.
Uh,
We could work it in there.
yeah. So my number two is, here we go, the first of my horror movies here. This is the 2019 Pet Cemetery. And I had such high hopes for this with John Lithgow. It also has Jason Clarke and Amy Seimetz in it.
They
It
haven't gotten
just,
a lot of Stephen King movies right, but with the way they got it, I understand why you'd have confidence.
well, uh, yeah, to an extent with it. The other thing is that I had just read this prior to seeing this as well. My issue with all these Stephen King movies is that I'm actually reading the books, and the movies are just making me mad. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Don't read the book before seeing the movie.
especially with this one, because they changed. I mean, big spoiler here. If you haven't seen the first one, the
Man.
family moves to Maine. This little house on this usually quiet street, quiet road. The only trucks or anything that go along it are going from this lumber yard, and they go fast down the road, and the the family's kid winds up getting hit by one of the trucks and dies, and they try to bring him back, but they change it in the remake to the daughter getting killed. And it's like, come on, dude, that's such a big change that did not need to be changed.
I
And
I
I
feel like they do it
hate
just
when
for the
movies do
twist.
that.
I think they just do it for the twist idea because everybody knows what's coming. You change it up. The problem is
But it happens
not all
like
thoughts have
midway
got a
through the
spark.
movie. It's not even an end. Everybody knows
Yeah.
so that
We need a drop the
changes like
ball
that
effect
bug
right
the
there.
hell out of me.
Yes, they are ones that are certainly not needed.
But I mean, people saw it. It had a $21 million budget. Its opening weekend, it made it back. It made 24 million its opening weekend, 54 million in the US, and 113 worldwide.
That mostly comes off the back of it.
Yeah.
Guarantee it.
Oh, no doubt. Because this came out in between.
Yeah, yeah, between the right after its success.
Right.
But I have a theory. A lot of Stephen King stories take place in Maine. Maine is rather a remote place. There's a lot of area that's not, not a lot of people living there. And I think it's because not so much that it's cold or anything like that, but Stephen King has scared a lot of people off of what he's written.
Yeah, that could be.
So,
What's
if
that?
true. I think that would be awesome if true.
Mm-hmm.
My mother-in-law will not go near his house, will not go near the town he lives in.
Yeah. I have no issues with Maine.
No, I want to go see his town. He had a sign out front of his house, vote for Susan Collins for
Mm-hmm. All right.
whoever was running against her. My
What's
number
your two?
two. I mean, I understand this movie was not meant to be exactly like the other one, but it is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's obviously the new one. It's the 2005 version there, the one with Johnny Depp, Freddie Highmore, David Kelly, of course, Helena Bonham Carter. So you already know this movie is directed by Tim Burton, just from Johnny Depp. And yeah, you like this movie.
I
We're
love
gonna
this
get
movie.
we're gonna get some sound effects that go both ways. But when you compare this movie at all to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, oh my god, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory has its creepy moments, yet is still so much better of a movie. I'm sorry, there's certain things that don't need other movies to come out about. There should never be another Back to the Future movie unless it is attempted a sequel, which I don't know how the hell you're going to do that. And Willy Wonka, anything Gene Wilder, really. I mean, I know you couldn't remake Blazing Saddles today, but do not remake that movie if anyone ever thinks about it. Those are classics.
See,
But Go ahead.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No.
go ahead. It's your topic. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to give you a chance to defend it, man, because I mean, Johnny Depp in this movie looks like the dude that you don't want near your kids in the park.
So what?
I love Johnny Depp to death, but I feel like that's not what you're trying to capture with the character. I mean, if this is supposed to be a sequel to the original, then what the hell happened to
No.
that kid?
So it's not a sequel. It's actually closer to the books than the original movie. The original movie, so the book is Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. It's not Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. So the movie, the first one, was more about Gene Wilder
This is why we don't read the books.
and that character. Well, this is what I got to do.
I mean, don't get me wrong. People like this movie. It grossed almost 500 friggin' million, which obviously beats its budget of
And I mean, hey,
150 million.
like I said, I've got it here on Blu-ray, and I mean, you may be saying, hey, I mean, that's part of a 3-pack. Anybody could have that. If you're wondering, but just in case you didn't know, I also have it on DVD, just on its own too. So I have 2 copies of it.
Yeah, the only movie I own duplicates of is Signs.
That is I have multiple copies of a lot of movies,
movie.
So it's not that big a deal with this one, but still, I changed, like, I started to upgrade to Blu-ray, so I had a lot of DVD that are now Blu-ray. So combos there.
That did suck, having had to do that whole switch over, especially since it was like within a 10-year period, a 5-year period, where it was like DVDs, awesome, Blu-rays, awesomer.
Oh,
damn, everybody
HD
that just collected
DVD.
them all. I never went into that. I was like, nope, go on Blu-ray.
See,
going beyond that. I don't need a third collection.
One of my laptops was an HD DVD ready laptop, so I bought 300 on HD DVD.
Really?
I could only watch it on my laptop.
What was the other problem? Like, Blu-ray at least became one of those things that ended up on, like, obviously PlayStations, Xboxes.
Right.
No HD DVD anywhere on anything.
Well, there was an HD DVD adapter for the Xbox 360.
Then you had to buy an adapter.
I know.
You already own the system.
I know. All right. Here we go. On to your number 1. What do you got this week?
This movie really shows you the differences between movie ratings back in like the 80s and movie ratings today. It is Red Dawn, the 2012 version, which I love the cast. The first 3 people in this movie, I absolutely love. Chris Hemsworth, Josh Peck, and Josh Hutcherson. Also has Adrienne Palicki and Isabel Lucas with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. But the problem is this movie just there's so much missing.
Have you seen the original of this?
I have.
Okay.
Because here's what happened. I wanted to see this movie because, from what I understand, one of the big things they changed up about this is in the original, it is Russia that suddenly launches an attack on the United States.
Yes.
Forcing a group of teenagers to escape their occupied town, go up into the mountains where they decide to try to fight back.
Oh, I see now. Yeah.
Yes. Now, the newer one changed it up to North Korea, which obviously, I mean, they're trying to keep it up to date so much. But honestly, you could really go either way still. But the problem is,
understandable.
Yeah. And I mean, the movie is not bad itself, but I started watching it and I actually stopped. I don't know why. It didn't really grab me at first. So then I stopped and I'm like, I want to go see if I can find the original. So I started watching that one.
Oh, the original. So good.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, the original, it's hard to live up to that cast. I mean, you're talking Patrick Swayze, Thomas Howell, Leah Thompson, Charlie Sheen, Jennifer Grey.
Oh, it was just everybody from the 80s.
I mean, and then here's where the biggest difference, though, comes in. Today, PG-13 movie, I think you see a couple deaths because obviously the town is being invaded and everything. It's a war zone. Stuff's going to happen, but it is very, very mild compared to the original.
Oh, yeah.
Which within 10 minutes of the movie starting, a bunch of Russians start landing out in the field of this friggin' high school. A teacher comes out asking to see if they are just lost paratroopers on a training mission.
Blam.
And the dude immediately launches the AK against him and then follows it up by blasting it through the school's windows where a bunch of high school students are watching everything develop. This movie starts off immediately with blood, and
Oh yeah.
you do not see that in today's movies, and it just takes a bit away from that. Because I mean, I'm a huge fan of realism, so I love the fact that they had all this in there. They make you try to feel hopeless, like stuff like that makes you care more about the characters because you see that they are in legitimate danger. Like
Mhm.
it, if you just see like the small little, oh well, this guy gets shot because he tried running, but everybody else is basically just herded together. It's a lot less of like a scary thing because you're thinking more like, oh well, they just run us now and we're just their citizens versus, well, they're rounding us up and anyone that fights back's going down. It's so anyway, they all go up, they fight in the hills, and of course it goes down. And I mean it just doesn't make it. I mean, the original half of them, no, I think two of them survive out of the seven that go up into the mountains. And it's certainly no honorable. I mean, they eventually are honored in the end, but I mean, their deaths are not, most of them are not that whole, I'm doing this to save you, I'm sacrificing myself kind of situation.
Right.
It captures the realism. But I mean, both are worth the watch, but the 1984 version probably would easily be rated R today, is definitely the one to watch out of the two.
See, that's my issue with a lot of these movies is that I with that one in particular, I love the original so much. I know this one is just going to disappoint me that I haven't seen it. Same with
Yeah.
the Point Break. So
Yeah,
that's
see
on
that
me. I need to get over that. Just go ahead and see them. Just go ahead and watch them.
same way. Like I was timid to watch the new Mortal Kombat just because I absolutely love the original.
Right.
Annihilation, not so much, but the original
No.
Mortal Kombat is just so much fun.
All
But
right.
that's just one of those movies.
Well, on to my number one this week. And this is pretty much universally panned as one of the worst movies, like almost ever. It's just it had no point to being made. This is a 1998 shot for shot remake of Psycho.
Yeah. Now, if there's ever a movie where like over the amount of time you need to
Eh,
change up some stuff in it, that's one of them. Because I'm going to tell you,
Yes,
the scariest part of that movie back then was the fact that
you didn't
if you
know. I mean, if you don't know Psycho, I mean, this is from the 50s, so I mean, or 60s for Psycho, but obviously the big twist is that Norman Bates is his mother's been dead and he's his mother and all this stuff and um but to know that that's coming, it takes everything away. And they don't. Gus Van Sant is not Alfred Hitchcock. I
no,
love Gus Van Sant. He's done some great films, but Alfred Hitchcock just obviously is the master of suspense and horror really from that time.
but
If you can call it horror, it was suspense. But
something though that this film did that made it there's a reason this film, if you watch it today, is not as scary as it seems, and that's because it was the first film to kill a woman on camera,
yeah,
which made you feel that no one was safe anymore.
right.
You don't have
It's
that today.
and she was the star. It was Vivian Lee, uh, obviously billed as the big star of the movie, and she's dead in the first 20 minutes.
They Liam Neeson her like Battleship.
But this one, I mean, it has a great cast. It should have been good, but what they tried to do with it was just so wrong. I mean, it's Vince Vaughn as Norman Bates. You got Anne Heche, Julianne Moore, Viggo Mortensen is freaking in it. William H Macy.
You know, I notice a theme here. A lot of these movies have good casts.
Yeah.
Something just going wrong, or maybe some of these movies just shouldn't have been
Well,
remade,
they did.
rebooted.
It's almost like these actors have it in their heads that, like, oh, I get to be a part of something like this. Yeah, I want to be like, I love that movie. I definitely want to do it. But the interesting thing about this is that this is the first of the films that I've picked that actually lost money. Everything else made money. It made a lot of money actually, but this one had a budget of 60 million, made 10 million its opening weekend, 21 gross in the US, 37 worldwide. Ugh, barely made back half.
I mean, the markets were much smaller back then, but I mean,
Right, but still, that was
that's a bomb. That's a flop.
this came out in December of 98, and in May of 98 Godzilla took in made 379 million. So, I mean,
It's your summer release.
it
I mean,
made I
unless
know, but it made 10 times more. So, I mean, it's not a matter of
it is a bit ridiculous. I mean, depending on, because I mean, around Christmas time is pretty
well,
much really the only
also,
time
I mean,
in winter that's busy
Psycho
for
should have it
movies.
should have come out in October.
Yes, that's another big miss. There's been a few horror movies to do that as well.
Like, why do you? Obviously, people want to see it that time of year. Don't put it out in May. Like, ooh, horror movie going into the summer. Yeah.
And
No.
horror movies do best from August, September, October,
Yeah.
and then after that, everybody wants happy holiday Christmas crap.
Right. They scare the hell out of us for 3 months and then make us happy.
Before that, it's loaded with action movies and
Mm-hmm.
epic dramas, and then before that, but pretty much between January and April, it's just all crap. It's all the movies they just throw out there that don't think they're going to make it and hope with nothing else out there they'll at least make budget back.
There are a lot of Oscar dumps in this time of year.
Yeah, but that's also because they know it's basically a award panning movie. Like, we just want award money, and we know by putting it out there and claiming it's probably going to win a lot of awards, it will get its money back.
Right. All right. Well, so those are our top five. I'll go ahead and give you a recap of what I had. It was Bewitched at number 5, Aladdin at number 4. I had Godzilla at number 3, Pet Cemetery at number 2, and the number 1 worst movie remake reboot of all time, in my opinion, Psycho from 1998.
Well, I of course had the remake of Lion King, House of Wax, Around the World in 80 Days. I Love You, Jackie Chan. Sorry to have that on there. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Once again, I'm sorry, Johnny Depp. I love you. Sorry for everything you're going through, but this just not hit it for me. And Red Dawn, number 1.
All right, so let us know what you think, what you think should be on this list, and what we should see that we didn't mention. And yeah,
What are we gonna do next, sir?
next, let's go ahead and roll the dice.
What do we got on there? What are we gonna replace that one with?
Let's see.
I got best toys of the 90s, best
Yeah.
Disney villains, best Netflix shows.
Let's do Netflix shows.
All right, we'll add that one to the list.
Okay, so let's.
Oh, them die.
Do you have the list written down?
No. What else is on the list?
All right, so there's
Process.
here. Write this down.
Okay.
There's best summer foods.
Yep.
Best Pokemon. Top 5 Pokemon.
I think we got to save that one for Richie and Paul
Well, who
when it
knows? He may
happens. But
be able to do it. What did we just say?
best Netflix shows,
Yeah. So that's 3.
best toys of the 90s.
Okay, that's 4.
Do we have anything else in there? Because I got Disney villains, and then we need one more.
Tarantino characters.
All right.
And let's do Simpsons episodes.
I like it. Roll the die, sir.
Rolling the die.
Actually, I wrote down Netflix. So Netflix.
Roll.
This is why you got to use real dice, man.
Stop. 3.
Best Netflix shows.
Okay, there we go. So next week we'll be doing best Netflix shows. Top 5. This one, I have a feeling this one's going to be a bit easier for me. Definitely a lot more that I've seen that I'll be able to choose from. Now, are we including shows that were brought back by Netflix, like Arrested Development? I don't think so.
No.
No?
I mean, if they've only done like a season of it, I would lean towards no. But if like Arrested Development, they've done like half the show at this point, right?
No, because they had 3 seasons on
Let's
on
not nitpick.
TV.
We'll just add them in. We
All
won't
right.
nitpick because I don't think a lot of them will end up on our list anyway.
Well, that might wind up on mine.
Yeah, I just figured out a lot of them. A lot of my shows I don't think you'll agree with, but I love them.
See, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, that may be on there. All right. Well, this is going to be fun. I'm excited. All right. So everyone be sure to like and subscribe. Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. We appreciate it. And I'm going to be going to stream again sometime this week on Twitch. Go ahead and follow me at I am Groovy Dude. And yeah, anything else to say before we go?
If I start streaming, I will let you guys know. If I ever release my D&D game, I will let you guys know. But until then, peace.
Sounds great. Well, thank you, everybody. We appreciate you for listening, and we will see you again next week.